be presenting a strategic roadmap for AI governance and risk management, which is a critical business imperative that can no longer be delayed. This condensed briefing distills insights from analyzing over 20 real-world cases, both failures and successes, to provide you with actionable recommendations from us. This is based on extensive research and real-world case studies. Focusing on actionable business insights, not theoretical concepts. Time sensitive due to regulatory developments. Let me walk you through the agenda for our discussion for the next 15 minutes. We shall cover four critical areas directly impacting the business strategy. First, we shall establish the business case for AI governance. Then we shall examine proven frameworks that learn from both spectacular failures and notable successes. Finally, we shall outline an implementation roadmap. Each section builds on the previous one to create a comprehensive business case. We shall see how organizations similar to us have succeeded and failed in AI governance. Everything we discuss today has direct implications on the competitive position and regulatory compliance. Let's start with these matters now more than ever. Slide 3 of the presentation provides an executive summary offering a comprehensive toolkit for implementing and governing AI-powered risk assessment. It emphasizes balancing business value and regulatory compliance with actionable insights from real-world examples. Key points include rising AI risk. As AI adoption accelerates, organizations face increasingly regulatory scrutiny, reputation threats, and operational risk. Governance gap. Most organizations lack structured governance of AI, with 65% reporting insufficient controls of risk despite growing AI deployments. Strategic imperative. Proactive AI governance enables competitive advantage while preventing it cost failures and regulatory penalties. The fourth one is cross-functional leadership. The AI officer's role bridges technical, ethical, regulatory, and business domains for comprehensive AI oversight. Slide 4 of the presentation discusses the need for urgency for robust AI governance as AI deployment accelerates across critical business functions. Key points include accelerating adoption. 87% of enterprises now deploy AI in multiple AI businesses units with threefold production models since 2022. Expanding risk surface. AI systems increasingly impact high-stakes decisions across hiring, lending, healthcare, and diagnostics and safety-critical systems. Regulatory pressure. Regulations such as EU Act, SEC disclosure requirements demand comprehensive controls and accountability. Financial stakes. AI failures cost the organizations over 500 million in regulatory penalties, litigation, and remediation costs since 2023. Slide 5 of the presentation discusses the defining of CIAIO officer role, which is the Chief AI Officer role. Slide 5 says that this role is cross-functional executive leader dedicated to orchestrating AI strategy, governance, and responsible AI deployment across the enterprise. Key points include executive leadership, C-suite positions with direct board access, enterprise-wide authority over AI initiatives, cross-functional orchestration. The Chief AI Officer bridges the business units, technology teams, risk compliance, and external stakeholders. The CAIO balances AI innovation, value creation with responsible governance and risk mitigation. Strategic imperative. As AI business mission becomes business mission critical, dedicated leadership prevents siloed approaches and governance gaps. Slide 6 of the presentation outlines the key responsibilities of AI officer. Chief AI Officer serves as the executive level champion for responsible AI adoption, requiring unique blend of technical expertise, business acumen, and governance skills. The main responsibilities include strategic AI leadership, defining the enterprise wide AI vision, investment priorities, and integration with business strategy and objectives, risk governance, implementing comprehensive risk frameworks throughout the overseeing of model validation, establishing controls to mitigate algorithmic bias, privacy, and safety risk. Regulatory compliance is the third responsibility, navigating evolving regulatory landscapes such as EU AI Act, NIST risk management framework ensures adherence and maintaining auditable documentation. The fifth responsibility is business integration, driving cross-functional adoption, harmonizing AI initiatives across departments and measuring business impact. Stakeholder engagement, facilitating board oversight, external partnerships, customer trust, and organization wide AI literacy. Slide 7 of the presentation compares the role of CAIO with other C-suite technology and data roles, highlighting unique responsibilities and strategic focus areas. Focusing on AI strategy, CAIO focuses on AI strategy, governance, ethics, and risk mitigation across businesses. Three responsibilities include AI ethics, model governance, and cross-functional adoption. The regulatory scope covers AI-specific regulations, model risk frameworks, and ethical guidelines. The chief CDO concentrates on the data strategy. The chief data officer concentrates on data strategy, quality governance, and insights. Responsibilities include chief data architecture, analytics capabilities, and data monetization. The regulatory scope involves data privacy, protection, and ethical guidelines. The CIO manages the IT infrastructure, operations, and enterprise systems. Responsibilities include IT security systems, integration, business processes support, regulatory scope, IT compliance, security, and sovereignty. The Chief Technology Officer drives technology innovation, research and development, engineering. Responsibilities include technical roadmap, product engineering, innovation pipeline. The regulatory scope involves product standards, IP management, and technical compliance. Slide 8 of the presentation outlines a sample AI governance organizational structure. It highlights the roles of the CAIO and the escalation paths for managing AI-related risk and compliance issues. The structure includes CAIO responsible for AI governance, reporting directly to the board of directors, the CEO, AI risk and compliance team, which focuses on the regulatory adherence and risk and ethics identification. AI technical governance team handles model validation, monitoring, documentation. Business unit AI leads use AI cases and ROI to track their respective units. The slide also details escalation paths for compliance issues and model failures, ensuring that these are addressed promptly and effectively. Slide 9 of the presentation introduces the concept of the risk assessment frameworks and for AI systems. It sets the scope of discussing various frameworks that organizations can use to ensure that their AI systems are safe, fair, compliant with regulations. Slide 10 says there are three frameworks emerged for global standards for AI risk management. Each offer their unique strengths and leading organizations often combine elements of all the three frameworks. The first one is McKinsey 6 by 6 framework, which is practical business focused approach developed from consulting experience. Comprehensive coverage of AI, operational risk and strategic risk, particularly strong for risk identification and assessment. The second one is the risk management framework from the NIST AI risk management framework. This government developed standard becomes a requirement for federal contractors, structured process oriented approach with clear implementation steps, strong foundation for regulatory compliance and audit preparation. And the third one is the EU European Union AI Act, which is the world first comprehensive AI regulation with mandatory requirements, risk tied approach focusing on high impact systems, setting global precedent for AI governance requirements. The integration strategy would be to have a most effective approach combining all the three, the McKinsey 6 by 6 approach, the NIST R risk AI risk management framework, and also the EU AI Act, okay, for comprehensive risk identification and For regulatory compliance, we comply with the EU AI Act. Harmonization reduces compliance burden while ensuring comprehensive coverage, creates defensible governance framework for global operations. Let's examine each of these frameworks in detail, starting with the McKinsey 6 by 6 framework. The slide 11 of the presentation discusses the 6 by 6 McKinsey framework. This framework maps the six key areas and categories across six key types, creating a comprehensive approach to AI risk assessment as that can be seen from the slide. Creating a comprehensive approach to AI risk assessment and governance. The categories include data, PII handling, consent, data protection controls, bias detection in data lineage, data quality checks, and vendor data policies. The second one is model selection and training, model privacy by design, training vulnerabilities, algorithmic fairness, model interpretability, robustness testing, and external model validation. Deployment and infrastructure, access controls, system security, production biases, runtime monitoring, fail-safe mechanisms, and client provider risk. The next we come across category is the legal and regulatory, which is the GDPR, CCPA compliance with industry regulations and anti-discrimination laws, right to exploitation safety certification and contractual liabilities, organization and culture, privacy, training, security awareness, DEI principles, transparency culture, and safety protocols and third-party governance. Slide 12 of this presentation discusses the NIST AI framework, which provides a structured approach to the organizations to address AI risk throughout the AI cycle. The framework consists of four core functions, which is the map, measure, manage, and govern. The map consists of establishing context for identifying AI systems, purpose, risk tolerance, and stakeholder impacts. Map business priorities, legal requirements, and operational environment. Measure is to assess, analyze, and track AI risk through quantitative, qualitative methods. Evaluate risk against established tolerance and categorize them for prioritization. The third one is manage, allocate resources, prioritize, implement, and maintain risk responses throughout the AI lifecycle. Document risk decisions, validate processes, and response actions. And the fourth one for the risk NIST AI risk management framework is to govern the established oversight structures, policies, and procedures, maintain continuous awareness of risk factors while enabling transparency and accountability. Slide 13 of the presentation talks about the EU Act, which establishes the first comprehensive AI legal framework for AI. The framework is based on risk-tiered approach with varying requirements by category. It consists of prohibited social scoring manipulation, exploitation of vulnerabilities, high-risk categories which are critical infrastructure, healthcare, employment, and law enforcement, and limited risk, which is chatbots, emotion recognition, biometric categorization. Minimal risk are the most other AI applications with basic transparency requirements. The key points include high risk requirements, risk assessment, data governance, human oversight, explainability, documentation, and testing. Compliance timeline, a 2-year implementation period with a phased approach for different risk categories. And there are high penalties of around euro 35 million or 7% of annual global turnover for violations prohibited AI and euro 15 million or 3% of other violations. The global impact extraterritorial scope affecting any organization offering products, AI products and services to EU citizens. Comparing approaches. On slide number 14, we compare the EU approach and the US approach, compares the approaches from the US and EU. The European Union approach is mandatory, legally binding framework that includes tiered risk categorizations, specific requirements for high risk systems, along with significant penalties for violations. The focus is on fundamental rights, consumer protection, and risk prevention. On the other hand, the US approach is voluntary best practice frameworks like NIST AI RMF allowing industry self regulation. The focus is on innovation, competitiveness, market driven standards. The slide highlights the global compliance implications for multinational organizations, suggesting that adopting a stricter EU standards as a global baseline while maintaining flexibility for regional requirements is the best practice. Slide 15 speaks about the presentation about the real-world regulatory timeline, highlighting the key regulatory milestones and sector-specific developments from 2022 to the year 2026. The timeline covers various sectors including financial services, healthcare, HR, employment, and public sector. Key milestones include financial services, where the SEC AI disclosure requirements in 2023, the New York DFS algorithmic lending rules in 2024, and the Federal Reserve Model Risk Governance Framework of 2025. The healthcare, where you have the FASMD regulations updated in 2023, EU MDR AI classification rules of 2025, and HIPAA AI privacy amendment in 2026. HR and employment, New York AI hiring audit law of 2023, California algorithmic employment decision law of 2024, and EU workplace monitoring directive of 2025. Public sector includes US Executive Order Trustworthy of 2022, EU Act beginning from 2024, and International AI Governance Framework of 2025. Now we shall deal with critical AI specific case studies. First of all, we'll deal with the failures, and this slide discusses the AI case studies highlighting failures. These studies emphasize the robust AI governance. Slide 17 of the presentation speaks about one of the cases where we have the failure with the Amazon hiring tool, decade hiring tool, trained on decade-made male-dominated resumes, significant gender bias penalizing women, which led to discontinuation after causing reputational damage, legal risk, and regulatory scrutiny. The case highlights governance failures such as inadequate bias testing, lack of diverse oversight, insufficient monitoring, and historical base requiring more than technical fixes. It underscores the necessity for diverse development teams, independent fairness validation, continuous impact monitoring, and transparent AI governance as mainly regulations like NYC Local Law 144 and EU AI Act impose strict bias requirements on the hiring AI systems across industries. Then we come across a case of Wells Fargo, where Wells Fargo's AI-driven mortgage approval algorithms systematically disadvantage minority applicants, showing higher rejection rates and offering less favorable terms to Black and Hispanic borrowers with similar financial profiles to white applicants. The impact and lessons learned from the case include legal consequences, model risk failure, independent validation did not adequately test a disparate impact, and key lessons here would be bias detection requires robust testing of protected class variables and counterfactual analysis. Then we come across Tesla, which is the current slide discusses Tesla's autopilot safety incidents from 2016 to 2023. Tesla's autopilot system has been linked to multiple accidents, raising concerns about misleading marketing, driver over-reliance. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration investigations identified gaps in risk controls for Tesla and escalation protocols for AI safety incidents. The impact and lessons learned from the case include regulatory action, multiple NHTSA investigations and recalls affecting 2 million vehicles, legal consequences, wrongful death suits, criminal investigations regarding AI system safety claims, and key lesson would be the AI systems require robust oversight, transparency limitations, and human-in-loop safeguards. The next one is Cambridge Analytica scandal, which involved data ethics and algorithmic manipulation between 2016 and 2018. Cambridge Analytica harvested personal data of 87 million Facebook users without proper consent through personality quiz app. The data was used to build psychological profiles, targeted political advertising in major democratic elections, including 2016 US presidential election. The impact and lessons learned from the case include regulatory response. The scandal triggered acceleration of GDPR in Europe, heightened FTC oversight, and resulted in 5 billion fine for Facebook. Corporate collapse. Cambridge Analytica filed for bankruptcy following global scandal and investigations. The key lesson here learned are the data collection requires transparent consent, ethical boundaries, and independent oversight of algorithmic influence. Then we come across Microsoft, where the failure in 2016, Tay, an AI chatbot released on Twitter, was designed to engage the team and users with conversations. However, 24 hours within, Tay began posting racist, sexist, and offensive content after being targeted by users who deliberately taught inappropriate responses. The impact and lessons learned from this include immediate shutdown. It created a reputational impact, and it also had a key lesson learned would be that AI systems require robust adversarial testing and continuous monitoring safeguards against manipulation. The Dutch Tax Authority, slide number 22 of the presentation, discusses the Dutch Tax Authority use an algorithm to flag potential healthcare benefits. This algorithm disproportionately targeted families with dual necessity and consequences of over 26,000 families who were wrongly accused of fraud and forced to repay benefits. The key impacts and lessons learned from the government crisis are that entire Dutch cabinet resigned in 2021 due to severity of the scandal, which had a financial impact of euro 500 million and compensation program for the victims of algorithmic discrimination. The key lesson learned would be public sector AI requires transparent oversight, regular bias audits, and human overview of algorithmic decisions. Now let's examine the case studies where we have successfully implemented AI governance for both business value and regulatory compliance. It highlights various organizations that have effectively implemented AI systems, resulting in positive outcomes. These case studies demonstrate the importance of governance and cross-functional oversight. For example, slide 24 of the presentation discusses Zest Finance's explainable credit system, which implemented in 2020, which provides transparent explanations for every lending decisions, significantly expanding credit access to underserved populations while maintaining robust controls and regulatory compliance. The key factors include the system improved approval rates for minority borrowers by 15%, resulting in increasing without increasing default rates. Regulatory acceptance and key success factor was designed for explainability from the start to the tools to test the validation models before deployment. JP Morgan's case is another success story implemented in AI-powered financial crime detection framework. This framework includes model validation, ethical governance, and cross-functional oversight. The key success factors include board-level oversight, regular validation, team conducts quarterly audits examining both performance metrics and fairness indicators. The key outcome was that 23% reduction in false positive while maintaining detection rates and improving equitable outcomes across consumer demographics. The next one, slide 26, is presentation about Singapore MOM, Ministry of Manpower 2023. The system includes built-in fairness controls to optimize distribution of foreign workers across industries. The key success factors and outcomes were transparent design, iterative testing, and measurable impact. The system achieved 28% of improvement in force distribution while maintaining economic productivity targets. The last one is slide 27, which discusses the US Social Security Administration success story, where NIST AI risk management framework by the US Social Security Administration in 2024 that established proactive approach to governance validation protocols, and the key impacts and outcomes include cross-agency validation, error reduction, and government model serves as the template for other federal agencies implementing public-facing AI systems. Implementation based on this real world, let's now outline the proven best practices for implementing AI governance. The effective AI risk management requires four fundamental pillars that work together in comprehensive governance while enabling innovation: proactive risk identification, systematic AI systems inventory and classification, regular risk assessments using standardized frameworks, scenario planning, and for potential failure models and edge cases, cross-functional identification including technical, legal, ethical, and business perspective, cross-functional collaboration, AI governance committees set up with diverse representation, regular communication between technical, legal, and compliance, and shared accountability for AI outcomes across various functions, common language metrics discussing AI risk, defensible processes, documented procedures for development of AI testing, deployment, clear approval processes, appropriate sign-offs and oversight, audit trails for all decisions and modifications, standardized templates for AI checklist consistency, continuous monitoring and validation, regular AI testing for performance, independent validation by specialists not involved in development, ongoing monitoring, systematic collection analysis of data, and start with AI inventory. So the implementation sequence would be start with AI inventory classification, establish governance structure, implement monitoring validation systems, achieve full operational governance within 12 months. Success metrics would be reduction in AI related incidents, near misses, improved regulatory compliance, and faster to time market. Common implementation challenges have seen bureaucratic overhead, lack of specialized skills, difficulty in integrating AI governance with existing risk management framework, balancing speed and innovation. The last we have seen how AI governance has evolved from the optional best practice to strategic necessity. The evidence is clear that organizations that implement proactive governance and competitive advantage, while those don't face essential risk. AI governance strategic necessity. Regulatory requirements are creating mandatory compliance obligations with severe penalties. Reputational risk and failures destroy years of brand building overnight. Competitive advantages increasingly flow to organizations who have effective AI governance. Insurance and investment communities require AI governance coverage and funding. AI officers are critical leaders. Cross-functional AI complexity of AI governance traditional role capabilities, dedicated leadership with appropriate authority are essential for effective AI governance. Organizations with AI officers report significantly better governance outcomes. Role will be shared, become standard to large organizations. Regulatory preparation. EU Act, EU AI Act deadlines approaching rapidly with significant penalties. Other jurisdictions are also having additional requirements. Compliance preparation requires 18 to 24 months of complex AI systems. Early compliance creates competitive advantage in regulated markets. Path to effective AI. Appoint dedicated AI leadership. Hire designated CAIO, appropriate authority. Implement structured risk frameworks. Adopt a combination of risk NIST, AI RMF, EU AI Act, conduct comprehensive review of AI system inventory, establish independent validation, foster step 3 would be to foster transparency, documentation, and explainability, and the fourth step would be build organizational AI literacy and awareness. So that is what the summary and the call for action. The key takeaways are AI governance is now a strategic necessity. AI officers are critical ones, and organizations must prepare themselves for evolving regulation across sectors. The path for effective AI governance is appointing AI dedicated leadership with cross-functional authority, implementing structured framework with independent validation, foster transparency, documentation, and explainability, and build organizational AI literacy and ethical awareness. Thank you very much.